I would call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission for its March 11th, 2015 meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fidesco?
Here.
Commissioner Pill is here. Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Van Buren? Commissioner Carmichael?
Here.
Commissioner Bartel?
Here.
And Chairman Richard.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
If you would please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. While I have you all standing, please, if you will, anybody that's going to give any testimony for or against any item, you got to be sworn in. So if you please raise your hand, it won't hurt. I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I do. Thank you. I would ask that you silence any and all electronic devices. First item for our agenda is approval of the minutes of our February 11 meeting. You all have a copy. They have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. A question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pill votes present. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Chairman Richards.
Yes. All right, the minutes as presented are hereby adopted. Next item, open hearing, old business. I have a request to continue, planning and zoning item 14030. May I have a motion to continue to our next meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Pill. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Let's see. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes, and Chairman Richards.
Yes. Jill, are they ever going to get
Yes.
anything going?
They're definitely going in April, and it's under review by our engineer right now.
That's great. Okay, next item, new business. Planning and zoning item 15006, Florence Dalton, regarding the property located at 128 South Cass for the following. A special use permit request to operate a ground floor nail salon in the B1 Limited Business District. Good evening.
Hi. I'm looking to get a permit for a business to open up a nail salon here in Westmont. And just looking forward to getting everything rolling and started if, everything's approved through you guys.
All right,
Any questions?
let's go to the public on this. Is anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this issue? Seeing nobody, we'll close the public comment. Staff, please.
This is a service use, which is why it requires a special use before the Planning and Zoning Commission in a public hearing. This is located in our B1 TIF district, but there's no active interest in redevelopment for this area, and we haven't had any interest from retailers, so this would be a good reuse of an existing storefront.
Any parking problems, anything like that?
No.
Nothing? Okay. May we start with Commissioner Bartel, please?
I think it's a good idea. I think it supports the redevelopment in that area, and I would give my 100% support.
Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas?
Seems to be a perfect place, location for it. You got the barber shop next door. Fits.
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pill?
Yeah, it's a relatively small space, and there's not a lot of really well-defined uses for something of that size. So this is, I think, a very nice fit for that, and I support it also.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yeah, I'm kind of in concurrence with the other commissioners because it is a small space and, kind of fits well with the barber shop.
Great, thank you.
So I'm in favor of it. Don't have any questions.
Doug?
I agree. I think it's a great fit right there.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And I also have to echo my fellow commissioners' comments. Okay, since we have a request for a special use, maybe we have a reading of the findings of fact, please.
128 South Cass Avenue, request for a special use to allow a ground floor nail salon in the B1 Limited Business District. Criteria 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. This proposed nail salon use will not adversely impact the public health, safety, morals, or welfare, and that it will be a low-volume service business which will be conducted completely indoors and is not expected to generate significant traffic or noise, odor, light, parking problems, or other adverse impacts on the public. Criteria 2, the special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. This area of the Central Business District is mostly characterized by existing small retail and service businesses. This proposed use will be consistent with these surrounding businesses and consistent with the previous service-oriented business at this location. This low-impact use will not adversely impact surrounding properties or impair property values. Criteria 3, the establishment of the special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Surrounding properties are fully developed, and there are currently no plans for a redevelopment project encompassing this property and other adjacent properties. This use in and of itself will not impede surrounding development. Criteria 4, adequate utilities, accessways, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. The property is fully serviced by sufficient utilities, accessways, and other necessary facilities, and no new facilities are required for this use. Criteria 5, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. The property contains sufficient off-street parking for employees and customers. There is also sufficient public parking available, and the property is within close proximity to public mass transit facilities. Additionally, this use is not expected to generate significant vehicular or pedestrian traffic. Criteria 6, the special use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, except as such regulations may in each instance be modified by the village board pursuant to the recommendation of the Plan Commission. This proposed use otherwise conforms to all village codes and regulations, and no zoning variance or code waivers are sought in conjunction with this special use approval.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement, therefore the findings of fact for a special use are hereby adopted and approved. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, Planning and Zoning Item 15006A, a special use permit request to operate a ground floor nail salon in the B1 Limited Business District.
So moved?
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Pill. Question on the motion? May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
And Chairman Richards?
Yes. Where's Lee? Okay, you have our recommendation for approval, and Jill can tell you when you will go before a Thursday evening committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Next item, Planning and Zoning Item 15007, AutoNation on behalf of Audi of Westmont regarding the properties located at 200-276 East Ogden, Westmont for the following in the B2 General Business District. Item A, site and landscaping plan approval for a parking deck and building expansion. Item B, zoning code variance request to reduce the required rear yard setback in the B2 General Business District for the purpose of constructing a parking deck. Item C, zoning code variance request to increase the allowed height in the B2 General Business District for the purpose of constructing a parking deck.
Good evening, my name's Ted Ward. I'm with Space Co Engineering out of Rosemont. We have been
I failed to see you raise your hand for the swearing in.
I'm sorry. I did not do that.
Okay, please, let's do it. I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
Thank you.
Again, Ted Ward with Space Co Engineering out of Rosemont. We've been working with AutoNation for the past 10 years on these sites along Ogden here. We'll get started with just reviewing the existing conditions out there. As you can see from the exhibit I brought with here, the existing Mercedes dealership is right here. Audi is here. and a existing parking lot is in this area that was developed in 2012, adjacent to the Village Well site. We are, as part of these developments, this property right here used to be a KDA building that was demolished to provide parking for these dealerships. Also, and Emily's Restaurant, I believe, was at this site. That was demolished to provide parking and building addition for the Audi dealership. A few years back, we provided a design for the parking garage for the Mercedes dealership, which was constructed 4 stories. And now we're on to Audi, who is lacking parking. As part of the proposed design, there will be 2 aspects to this. One will be modifying the existing building, and 2, adding a parking garage to the area where we developed a parking lot a few years back. Just to give you a brief overview of the existing building, service bay is right here, more service bays in this area, showroom floor, that will remain the same. To the building, this is just an overview of how that building will change. We're demolishing a small corner of the building here, placing an addition in this area right here. They'll provide drive-through service, a new car wash, quick lube bays, and change the existing service area to detailing and car wash area in this area. Going back to the site, we are proposing a parking garage, 4 decks eventually. At this time, we're only constructing a 2-story garage. First floor will be service, second floor will be parking for now, with the anticipated construction of the additional 2 stories in the near future. The site right now, like I said, is a parking lot that we developed a few years ago. There is regional detention to the north of this site, but as part of this development, we did provide additional detention for the site to make up for the new impervious that we are providing. You can see the Village Well building is right here, so this is a pretty well landlocked situation, and there is no more developable area on the site for parking, which is why we are proposing the garage. As part of this parking lot addition in this area, a variance was requested a few years ago and granted for a reduction to a 6-foot setback on the property line, and the parking lot was constructed. Now we're looking to replace that parking area with a parking garage. First floor, like I said, will be service. Second floor for now will be parking. The additional 2 to come will be parking as well. We will lose parking spaces in the meantime, but it's required for them to provide the service they need to provide, and when we complete the project with the additional 2 stories, that parking will be replaced and added.
Clarification, if I may, Jill. This variance, if it's voted and granted either way tonight, will it cover the future expansion of this?
Yes. Yeah, the request currently is for the 4-story deck,
Okay.
because they might not necessarily want to move forward with just a 2-story deck.
Okay.
So they want to make sure that they can do 4
So
stories
they're
in
clear to
addition.
expand in the future?
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
No problem. Again, preliminary site plan here showing the garage, surface parking, which we still need to work out with Public Works against the existing well site, setback maintained to the existing, which is where we are requesting a variance, specifically because of the height of the future garage. Again, utilities will be, won't be a problem here. A architectural site plan just showing that that first floor is service, all auto lifts within the garage. A blow up of that picture there.
Okay, since you are requesting a variance, you're required to state a specific hardship for your variances for the backyard setback and also for the parking deck. Would you address those, please?
Yeah, the site right now is landlocked. There's no other property that can be developed for parking at this time. There's no other option for AutoNation but to go vertical in this case. It is a unique circumstance. The well building is there. We cannot move the garage to accommodate the setback. Shrinking the garage would effectively make it so that we aren't providing the parking that they need on this site. And it also will not alter the essential character of the area. This is all auto dealerships in this area and manufacturing to the north.
Would you also say that if this were to be denied, it would affect the success of your business to continue?
It would. They are lacking parking, they're lacking serviceable area on their site. They would not have any other options for the site.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody from the public who will speak on this issue, either for or against? Nobody raising their hands? We'll close the public comment. Staff, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our economic development team has been working with AutoNation's engineer on the proposed site plan, and as previously mentioned, the property is landlocked and the garage cannot go over or replace the well. We would recommend more landscaping to the north, and our engineer has approved the preliminary drawings and would then follow up with final engineering to ensure that stormwater is adequately addressed. We would also address any lighting that might be added at that time as well. And we're available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's start with staff. Commissioner Carmichael, if you would, please.
One question I have, on that phase one, where you're just doing the two stories, will that second story be covered? Will it have a roof, or will that be open?
No, it will be an open deck. I will put that rendering up there. This is the phase one render.
And is that is there a time frame proposed for phase two?
Well, my understanding is the ordinance is good for 1 year. At that point, we can extend that for 1 additional year. I'm sure they'll develop it within that time frame.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like a solid plan to me. I have no objection.
Okay, Commissioner Fidesco.
Yeah, the staff has already addressed my one concern, and that was the landscaping to the north. So I've seen other projects like this in the past, but most of them are AutoNation. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. It's not like there's homes behind this one. We do have one that's a different dealership, so I don't see where it'll be any bad impact to the north. So I'm in agreement with this to move forward.
Commissioner Pill.
What's the length of time for this project?
You know, as far as starting the project or start to completion?
That was going to be my next question. When do you anticipate starting if it's approved? And is this a 12-month, 18-month project, shorter, longer?
You know, I do not know the construction timeline off the top of my head. I know that they do want to proceed as soon as plans are approved.
What do you guys do with snow removal for this?
In this case, on the upper deck of the garage, they would designate parking spaces for snow storage area.
Will there be, and can you discuss with me the lighting characteristics of this? So both from two standpoints. One, the lighting for safety purposes, and then illumination for either advertising or signage or for decor.
Lighting, first story of the building is enclosed. We don't have to worry about that. Security lighting around the perimeter of the garage would be installed, to the village's satisfaction as far as illumination onto neighboring properties. And the upper deck of the garage would do the same. They do not want to provide any overspillage of light onto the northern property. They'll design the lighting so that that's the case.
Can you tell us about access a little bit? So I've been back there a couple times to look at some of the different projects. So there's quite a little, it's not even really a maze of roadways. It's basically just one big piece of asphalt now. So are plans to ever go back out and exit onto Plaza, or is it all going to stay internal to the Mercedes and Audi sites and then in and out of Ogden?
It will remain in and out of Ogden. Both sites, Mercedes and Audi, are owned by AutoNation. They have easement agreements so that Audi can access this garage through the Mercedes site. But no, there's no plans to exit anywhere else other than Ogden.
Or cutting into over by Micro Center or any of that, so you're going to keep it this way?
No, yeah, correct.
If they plan to do that in the future, there would be a change in site plan arguably, or at least a change in access, so they'd have to come back.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that would be unplanned for on our part, and I think it would create a hardship to the neighborhood if that were to occur. I assume this is a two-step, so you got to build the garage first before you can take the maintenance out of the existing shop. So you probably do the garage first, and then you'll do the Audi building itself with these minor changes?
Correct.
And if you're really looking to extend this building in 1 or 2 years, it would seem like staging would be more cost productive to do it all at once.
Anytime you do construction, the more you can do at one time, the better your costs are going to be. Economics comes into play on it. I don't know what their financing situation is on the job, but I can only assume that why they aren't going forward with the full 4-story right now is that they need to get the current building renovated, they need this service garage, and then as cash flow increases, they finish the job.
Gotcha. Great. I like the project. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas.
I like the project also, and I like how you went and took care of the four-story aspect of it now, get that out of the way, and work with staff to get that okayed so that there's no hiccups along the way. And I'm glad you need the extra space, and you're doing well enough that you need the space.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Commissioner Bartel.
I'm also very supportive, and it's, the issue of access to the well was addressed in the write-up, so I was comfortable with that.
Right, we will work with Public Works to make sure that their site remains accessible.
Okay.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I have no further comments. Commissioner Fidesco took care of the landscaping, which I thought was important, and I just welcome to see the addition going on, and I love the sale of the cars.
Thank you.
Okay, may we have a reading of the findings of fact, which will cover both variances?
AutoNation, on behalf of Audi of Westmont, 200 and 276 East Ogden Avenue in Westmont, request for variances to reduce the required rear yard setback and to allow an increased height for the purpose of constructing a parking deck. Criteria 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. Due to existing space constraints, the parking deck structure is the only practical alternative to increase inventory storage and provide a needed additional service area to ensure the continued viability of this business at this location. Surrounding properties are fully developed, essentially ruling out the acquisition of adjacent properties for expansion. Without these variances for this proposed development, the property cannot yield a reasonable return as a first-class regional automobile dealership. Criteria 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The Audi dealership has become a first-class regional automobile dealership. There are increasing pressures to increase vehicle inventory and service facilities in order to maintain the high standards for this dealership, but this dealership is plagued by severe space constraints which necessitate this project and these variances. Criteria 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Surrounding properties are fully developed with commercial uses in the B2 General Business District and manufacturing zone properties to the north. An existing Mercedes parking garage facility exists adjacent to this proposed facility, and other automobile dealerships are located in the immediate area. The addition of this parking deck and service facility is consistent with the surrounding development and will not alter the essential character of the area. Any impact from the height of this facility will be minimized by its setback off of Ogden Avenue.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. Therefore, the findings of fact for the variances are hereby adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 15007, Item A, site and landscaping plan approval for a parking deck and building expansion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Chairman Richards?
Yes. Okay, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, item B, zoning code variance request to reduce the required rear yard setback in the B2 General Business District for the purpose of constructing a parking deck.
So moved.
Second.
Yes, I'm sorry. Motion by Commissioner Carmichael, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Question on the motion? A roll call, please.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Chairman Richards?
Yes. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, item C. Excuse me. A zoning code variance request to increase the allowed height in the B2 General Business District for the purpose of constructing a parking deck.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. Question on the motion? A roll call, please.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes?
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Chairman Richards?
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, and staff can tell you when you'll appear before the Thursday evening committee of the whole. Thank you, sir. Next item, planning and zoning item 15008, Village of Westmont, regarding the property located at 415 Brookside Drive, Westmont, for the following. A, preliminary plat of subdivision request to split one lot into two lots in the R3 Single Family Detached Residence District.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here tonight to present a subdivision in the Sycamore Run existing subdivision. This is a detention area that is next to an existing St. Joseph's Creek, and the village is requesting to subdivide so it can sell off part of this land to make a buildable lot and then use the proceeds to make creek improvements where we've had flooding in the past. We'd have stormwater detention in this area as well. Our engineer has reviewed the plans and it meets all of our plat requirements. I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this issue? Please, if you would, sign in and announce your name if you would.
My name is David Wisniewicz. This is my wife, Mary Wisniewicz.
So there should be a sign-in sheet up there if you would,
And we don't
please.
see one, maybe somebody took it.
Okay, we'll get you one. Please proceed.
We live right next to where these two plots are planning to be used for buildings, housing, I imagine, residential. One of the problems I see with this project is that you have water that comes almost to the top of that hill. You have on the north side and the south side, you've had flooding. Even with the new project that they did last year, you still have flooding on both north and south side. When they start excavating this property for these houses, I cannot see any way where they won't have flooding either in those houses or the flooding will come towards my house. I just want to know what guarantees would I have if they start construction, build these houses, and then I have water problems.
What I'd recommend is that we can set up a meeting with our engineer to explain how the detention will be handled as part of the creek improvements and how the subdivision of that lot would affect you. As you mentioned, that the lot is situated at the highest point for the topography in that area.
But there's also going to be, there'll be two houses, right?
No, it's just one home.
One home.
Yeah, there's a subdivision for two lots, but only one lot will be buildable.
Okay.
The other lot is being used to further the cause of detention, is that how I understood it? Okay.
Right.
So I was confused at first when I read this also, but,
Okay.
so there's not a second house. The second lot is going to be sort of donated into the whole detention process.
Okay. But even with that, just one house, do they have size that they can go as far as maximum footage on this, or?
Yes, they're required to meet our 35% lot coverage maximum, and the lot is about 0.2 acres.
Okay.
And the maximum hard surface that they would be permitted,
It's about 3,500 square
3,500.
feet.
Right, which,
And
and that
they
would-
wouldn't have much of a backyard then, really, because
Right.
that's a slope.
It's shorter than the 85 feet, it's only,
it's a very short backyard.
it's this.
Okay, okay.
This is his house.
Would they be on a floodplain?
No, the buildable
Okay.
lot is located outside of the floodplain.
Okay.
85 feet.
My concern is that no letter was sent to the affected homeowners, like in our cul-de-sac, and also for the houses on 61st Street, which whenever there's a heavy rain, those houses their front lawn gets flooded. So I want all these people to be aware of this. All that was put up was a sign attached to a tree on this lot. Whereas when, back in like the fall, winter, when they talk about building a clubhouse for this apartment complex, we did get a letter. So I'm wondering why no letter was sent for this,
The difference in this case is that this only involves a plat of subdivision, which takes a piece of property and divides one lot into two lots. And under the applicable state law and the village ordinances, you don't have to give notice to surrounding property owners, or technically even publish in the newspaper. So we published notice, we published the agenda, notice is in the newspaper, we put a sign on the property. The clubhouse expansion involved variances. So anytime you have a rezoning, a variance, a special use, those are zoning-related matters as opposed to subdivision matters, and those do require public notice in a newspaper, notice to surrounding property owners. That said, I know the village wants to hear resident comments.
Right.
And perhaps what can happen, as Jill said, is that anyone who's interested is welcome to come in for a meeting to discuss what the engineering is going to be. I know from the staff write-up, it looks like all the stormwater detention is going to be directed into the St. Joseph Creek basin there.
okay. Yes, then that meeting would be great, because
Okay.
I've been in touch with a few neighbors, and they're all interested. Okay.
Excuse me, are you 300 Elwood?
Yes,
I got it. No, I just wanted to see on the map. Yeah, you're right on it.
right, exactly.
And currently, there is no sump pump, and we never got a drop of water in our house from flooding. And we wouldn't want to see that
I
change.
change them every 2 years in my house.
Do you
Good for
know your neighbors down below you on Elwood Court, closer to the water and they're lower elevation than your house?
That's what I'm concerned about.
They
If they
have
do
water?
excavation, there's actually behind our house almost there, it would lead right straight down into that cul-de-sac.
Well, it's my understanding that the purpose of this lot subdivision and sale is to help finance the rework in behind Elwood Court and the other cul-de-sacs.
Well, we're not actually right behind the creek. We're right there
yes,
by the
you're-
pond, where the highest hill is.
Yes.
And I've seen time after time, actually, it's on the north side, you probably know it, they have severe flooding there. Actually, it blocks one of the houses there. Now we got flooding on our side of the street, on Brooks' side. So it really concerns me that you start fooling around, because they did work on that pond just recently, about a year
Last
ago? or
summer.
Last summer. And they tried to solve these problems. They didn't solve either one of those flooding problems. So we become very concerned that, we could have problems once they start working on that property where there's flooding on my property. And I would like to have guarantees or some sort of restitution if that becomes a problem.
I'm not a hydraulic engineer or anything like that, but Unfortunately, the pond, from what I see all the time, and I live right across 63rd Street there,
Okay.
the pond functions exactly as it does right to its maximum. Its trouble is the creek as it flows north. It just cannot convey the water away.
Yeah. When we first moved in, they didn't have these problems. Something was done, or I'm just guessing, but it seems that pond, it really can get very, very high. You get a good rain, there's been times where I thought it was going to go right over that hill.
Yeah. Well, I know the county finally replaced that culvert. What was it, on 59th Street or 61st Street?
61st.
I think it was 61st. They finally replaced, maybe they didn't size the culvert correctly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, but what we can do is set up that meeting with our village
Yes.
engineer, and we'll sit down with you and explain how that'll work, and
And will you call us, or, okay.
but I do have one other
Contact
comment
the
from, when I look at the property, or when I looked at it, it looks like the hill, there's a fairly pronounced hill.
Yeah, they-
There. And I would question whether, by building a house on that hill, it would shed any more, whether the house would contribute to more flow of water off of that hill, or that hill's pretty steep and I can't see
That's what my
water.
concern is. That
soaking
hill's off,
in.
the only thing that's preventing water coming on my property. So if they start messing around with that hill area, or how it slopes, I've been in the building industry, and I just see, you know, as it is, water goes out all over the place on that pond. I can just see it happening right there once the person, or either going into that person's house, the water.
And 61st Street.
Yeah.
John, if we were to recommend this, would we be able to attach a provision that there would be a swale
No.
on this property, or?
I really think you need to leave that to engineering to take a look at this, and they'll figure out how to best design this. I know the intention is to direct the water away from the homes and into the creek area. And I'm sure engineering will make sure
Yeah,
whoever...
but the water, like you said, comes from the pond going north. And once it comes north into that pond's not able to hold the water coming in. That's been the problem all the time. That's why you got a north side and south side flooding. And I mean, on the north side, it becomes so bad, the police have to corner it off. You can't go through it.
But you
And it's,
understand,
on my side, on Brookside, it's getting just as bad as that. It gets pretty high.
yeah, but when you say the water comes from the north side, there's, that creek, the flow is to the north.
Right.
That creek just backs up so badly that the water on a hydrology type thing, it's gonna back up and start rising to wherever it can. So our problem is further north from 61st Street would alleviate the flooding, but I don't know what that is.
So you mean it could back up,
So it wouldn't be backing up. That's where your water's coming from.
backing up
Is the
at
backup.
the pond?
Yes,
our
correct.
pond. You're trying to alleviate that problem so it backs up.
That's what I,
It comes from, like, the pond, there's a pond across 63rd, then you got another one right next to apartments.
yes.
Oh,
It all originates from the golf course.
so you're
and
going to
the-
back it up that way, try to.
No, we don't. We don't.
But then it could be running all the way down to our pond, more water, wouldn't it?
No, what I want to do is increase the flow of water north of 61st Street so the ponds drain. That's its natural drainage. That's where hopefully with the Stormwater Committee, and they get some monies where they can work on this, they'll be able to increase that flow of water northward where it should be going.
Where it all ends up is the pond there.
No, where does it end up eventually?
It ends up the pond right next to the golf course, Twin
It
Lake.
flows up through the golf course up north towards, where does it goes from the golf course, and then I think it crosses Fairview.
It goes, there's some homes along Fairview that the village ends, and then it becomes Downers Grove.
Correct.
There's an area in there, and that's where it flows. Then it goes west.
Then it goes west, yeah, because that's where we just approved the subdivision a couple years ago, those lots in there.
Yeah,
57
exactly.
here.
So that's our hope, is that we'll be able to increase the flow of water
Yeah.
north
Yeah.
and westward, where it empties into St. Joseph's Creek.
Okay.
And the sign was the first time that we were, like made aware that it's back on the agenda and everything. What's the time frame? It's like,
This would potentially go to the village board next week, and then following the plat approval, the village would work with a realtor to get it on the market. But we can set up the meeting with our engineering staff prior to the board meeting.
and the board meeting is when?
It would be next Thursday.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope we've addressed your concerns.
Well, I hope I don't have flooding.
Is there any further public comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Staff, anything further to add?
No further comments?
No further comments? We've had a fairly free-rolling, but let's start with Commissioner Bartel.
Well, it sounds like there's concern. I think probably the prudent thing to do would be to have the meeting, and essentially, I believe it's a good idea. I'm supportive of it, and I think that the sale of the land to actually help the flooding problem is the right way to go. So in general terms, I support it, but I certainly can understand your concern, and I'm sure our engineer would address those concerns in the meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
And if you still have, after you meet with the engineer, and you still have concerns, you should definitely attend the meeting with the trustees, because we just give our opinion here, they vote on it. And if you still have concerns, even if you don't have concerns, you should be at the meeting, because you have a vested interest in it. So I have,
Commissioner Pill?
Yeah, this is, I think, with the intent of being a very good project. However, I think you have to make sure that we don't harm another homeowner in the interest of trying to provide a fix for something that's been getting worse over the years. So I think that's the key thing, and I think it's been duly noted as part of the record. We're the public hearing body for the village board. So your comments will be a part of the minutes and the record, and I think almost every commissioner here has the same feelings. So I support the project, but I just want to make sure that this homeowner and the others in the area receive, at the end of the project, have a better situation than they have now, or certainly nothing worse.
Commissioner Fidesco.
Yeah, my only concern is that when this is subdivided, that the builder, whoever winds up building on the property when they purchase it, that because of the slope that Chairman Richard mentioned, I don't want to see them taking out any soil and reducing it. And in fact, I know that this is an engineering part, but, making the suggestion that you not remove any of the soil and actually possibly build it up so that, it's more level, and then the, whatever slope they have to make to make it drain properly so that there is no possibility of water going the other way, because it is a rather substantial slope.
I can't speak for the engineers, but I do know that our village engineer and the county will have to issue a stormwater permit for this as well.
Yeah, because,
of the-
it just kind of, like the neighbors said, they're at the high point, and then it just kind of goes down to the pond, so just want to kind of make sure that there's nothing taken out of there.
Commissioner Carmichael?
And I went out, obviously, and looked at that site. It is a high hillock right there, but your concern too, in building the house, is that they would grade that down, so you know, the whole project sounds, I understand the reasoning behind it, and it certainly sounds sound to me. I don't know what guarantees the village, other than engineering has to be approved.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, is that, there are ordinances that govern displacement of water and drainage of water, and our job is to make sure any developer complies with that, and, voicing your concern will help and make sure the engineer is extra cognizant of your concerns.
I do have one question for staff. On the administrative requirements checklist, at comment 20, on a letter of credit, letter of credit has to be both commercial as well as residential. Why? Why would a commercial, if a builder,
A builder
that would
has
be
to-
for the builder himself.
Right, it's just saying that whether it's a commercial project or a residential project.
It's not saying it's a commercial project, it's such, yeah. That just kind of stood out to me. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, and my only comment would be that I wish we could attach something to the title of the lot when it's transferred, indicating that special precautions would have to be taken not to flood any houses to the east and to the north in the cul-de-sac. But council advises that this is not.
South. To the north of 61st Street.
Not a deed restriction. I think the requirement for this property, like any other property in the village, is build it according to the DuPage County Stormwater ordinance standards.
Okay.
And, knowing the slope, et cetera, and where the houses are located, I think that's all, of course, going to be given the utmost attention. But this is a project that has been years in the making to acquire property to provide creek stabilization, which is in the works, and help out that area and prevent the erosion of property that's occurring there. And part of it, as Jill said, is the village acquired this property so it can sell it and help fund those improvements.
With the creek stabilization, are they talking about what, the continued washing down of sediment from the erosion of the creek banks further upstream to help prevent that from filling this pond up?
I don't know.
I would hope so. Okay.
The note from Public Works says that the project consists of installing erosion and sedimentation controls. So that'll definitely be part of it.
All right. We pretty well talked this. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, Planning and Zoning, item 15008. Item A, preliminary plat of subdivision to split one lot into two lots in the R3 Single Family Detached Residence District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. Do we have a question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Chairman Richards?
Yes. Okay, I don't think I have to tell you when this will go before the village board.
Yes, and we'll make sure that the board is aware of the concerns from the planning and zoning.
Okay, thank you. And you also know when this will appear before the village board?
It's Thursday.
I believe, is that what you said, Jill?
Yes, next Thursday,
Be the 19th.
19th. No, it's at 5:30 PM.
But right here.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Planning and Zoning item 15009, Village of Westmont, regarding a zoning code text amendment for sign regulations as follows. A, amend Appendix A, Article 11 of the Westmont zoning code regarding amendments to the Village of Westmont sign code.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our staff here is tonight to propose text amendments regarding fees for temporary signs and revisions to the requirements of electronic message board signs. Our staff is recommending becoming less restrictive in our existing ordinance in response to modern technology and from listening to the business community who would like more flexibility with their signs. A lot of business owners have purchased signs that have more capabilities than what our ordinance allows. With our research, we found that our code is more restrictive than other communities, as seen in the table that we provided in the staff memo. As you can see, Westmont, we require the message not to change more than every 30 seconds, and other communities typically range between 5 and 15 seconds, with the exception of Darien, which has a 60-second period. So it means your message must stop and then not start again for, some time between 5 and 60 seconds. We're also recommending a larger sign area. Currently, electronic message boards aren't allowed to be more than 40% of the total sign area, and we're recommending 60%. We're recommending the allowance of graphics, which is one of the more recent additions to signs that we've seen, allow more color. And I'd also like to note that previous signs would be grandfathered in, and current signs that exist would be given those same flexibilities that new signs would be allowed with what we're recommending. And with that summary, I'd like to introduce Joe Hennerfind from our staff, who conducted research and provided all of the attachments in the memo. He can provide additional information on the temporary signs as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a building and code official with the village, so I kind of instigated this and brought it on myself because when I started with the village and I started working on some of the sign permits, I found that out of the 20 signs that were electronic that existed within the village, all 20 were out of compliance to what had been approved when it went through its sign permit stage. So what I had done is I had begun the enforcement process. I had sent out letters to the existing signs indicating that there were requirements that were not being followed, outlining what needed to be followed. What I heard and the village responded to was that the business owners were saying that we were more restrictive than neighboring communities and other comparable communities. So what we did do, we elected to do some research on neighboring communities. I researched 10 of the comparable communities that we typically use whenever we're researching something in relationship to how we compare to the other codes that exist nearby. Out of those 10 communities, 3 prohibit it. So it's not unheard of to prohibit electronic message board signs. So of the remaining 7, we found that typically those hold times, which are one of the elements of an electronic sign, is where we varied from other communities. Typically, it's when you're looking at an electronic sign in the industry, there's brightness, the message hold times, the transition method, how long it takes to transition. So if you see something fading, how long does it take to fade to the next message, and then area. So we looked at all those measures. All of those except for the message hold times were similar to other communities. So I kind of eliminated that in the chart that I gave you there. It was the hold times that became the issue. So then we did some research to see what was acceptable within the village and with staff recommendations. We are currently at 30 seconds. Although there was the extreme of Darien at 60 seconds, in speaking with Darien staff, that was done through a variance that was brought to Planning Commission. They had no standards, and that was what they elected through the discussion at Planning Commission. So I kind of eliminated that as an extreme. We arrived at 10 seconds as a good message hold time. And message hold times are important because of safety, traffic safety, people getting distracted as they drive by. When these initial code revisions were introduced in 2007 and adopted, that was one of the primary reasons was safety. So we think that the 10-second rule is a relaxation of what we're doing, something more comparable to other communities, but still keeping that safety factor. In addition to just looking at the hold time, there are a few minor tweaks within the text that we have that we're just going to clean up some of the things, both with electronic message board signs and some of the temporary signage. Related to the message board signs, as Ms. Ziegler had indicated, right now it's 40% is what we allow. So of your total sign allowance, you're allowed to have 40% as an electronic message portion. What we're proposing is that if someone is willing to do a monument-style sign, they can increase that to 60%. And what it is the monument-style signs are seen as more attractive and better for the community versus the pole signs that exist. So if we have someone that has an existing pole sign, we kind of wanted to do an incentive for them to remove the entire pole sign and build something that was better for the community. We're deleting the text that prohibits graphics. When this first went in, the code was adopted, it was kind of the infancy of these signs. Graphics are fairly standard in all the signs that we see nowadays, and we see out with the existing signs that we have out there. It's not the graphic that is distracting, it is the movement or illusion of movement. So we feel confident in requiring that restriction be taken off. The one color per screen, that is kind of what goes hand in hand with graphics. You can't have a lot of the graphics with one color per screen. So we feel that it conflicts with what is existing out there. We want to amend the text. There is a provision in the code that says there should be no amber, red, or green. And the intent of that was that no signs near the street should resemble a traffic signal. We feel that if we just amend that to say, rather than restricting amber, red, or green, which exists in a lot of the signs that we have out there, what we are doing is we put in a clause that says that no sign should resemble a traffic signal. Moving on to the kind of minor tweaks we want to do with the temporary sign and banner permit fees. Currently, all temporary banners and temporary signs within the village do require a permit, and they have a $250 bond that we return once we've reviewed the permit, issued the permit, and then actually go out and do an inspection on the sign to see that it was removed. There is a clause in code that says there shall be no fee for such a permit. We feel that there should be a fee for the temporary banner of $50. That would cover staff administrative time in the review and also the inspection time to go out and look at that. And like I had said, there's another little clause that we have to delete where it says that banners have no fee. And then also duration, there's just a conflict in the existing code. In one section it says 45 days, in another section it says 60 days. Staff supports the 60 days, so we're just amending that to make it reflect what is said later in the code.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, if there's an existing sign, an existing electronic message board sign that is not compliant with these new regulations, how's the village going to treat those? Because everyone got a violation notice.
Right. We would grandfather in existing signs that are not in compliance, and as I mentioned, the previous signs would also be allowed to be more flexible, which we think would be helpful. I'd also like to note that prior to the public comment that we received an email from Tom Walsh, which I provided to all of you at the dais, with regard to his sign at 850 North Cass from TW Group. He had requested that we be less restrictive to 1 or 2 seconds rather than the 10 seconds that we're proposing. And if you have any questions about his sign, we can address that as well.
Okay, is there anybody, excuse me, from the public who wishes to comment on this? Please, if you would, announce your name and sign in.
My name is Alan Welch. I'm a representative from AutoFix, the Duke of Oil, and the Firestone on Cass there in Westmont across from the McDonald's. We have an electronic message board, and I didn't know what was going to be proposed here tonight. I didn't have advanced notification on that. 30 seconds is a long time. I'm in favor of the 10 seconds even. It's got to be controlled. I've seen some that are ridiculous. They flash, you do all kinds of stuff. They are distracting. I've seen it. And I think technology does need to be, used in a safe way, that's safe for everybody. I think 10 seconds is a reasonable amount of time. Pardon me. And certain graphics, depending on what they are, I don't know what the restrictions of that will be. And there needs to be some, but I know that 30 seconds, and we've recently, possibly by yourself, said, here's the rules, here's what you have to follow. You can't really put up a message that's useful to the community, such as 6 months, 0% financing, if it's got to go in 2 different sections, they're going to miss it. They're just not going to see it, and that can be beneficial to the community as well, where they can, defer some costs and things like that, and get an auto repair in this case. But just that I want to say I'm for the proposed adjustments that they've set here tonight. I think they sound reasonable and still would fall well within a safe range of what's, not going to be a detriment to the driving public, basically. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public who will speak on this? And I have to swear you in.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. If you'd just please raise your right hand. I swear any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I do. Thank you. If you would sign in, please.
My name is Frank Trilla. I own King Car Wash in Westmont, 63rd and Cass. My wife, Laura Passero Trilla, it's Papa Passero. So we both have LED signs. That's why we're here tonight. I see the changes as pro-business, and I congratulate your efforts. Outstanding changes. Every single one of them is better for business. And I appreciate it. I had no idea what we were going to hear tonight, so that's why I didn't say anything. One adjustment, the Village of Willowbrook now allows electronic signage, so you might want to follow up on that. And that's it. Thank you. Great job. Pro-business, gotta love it.
Thank you, sir. Any further, please, if you would, name and sign in.
I'm also not been sworn in yet, sir.
Oh, don't know how I missed you. I swear any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
Thank you.
I'm Jay Rushford, Director of Operation Uncle Bub's. I also didn't know we were going to hear. I'm really in favor of the new changes. 30 seconds is a lot longer than it sounds like when we say that. I know it's going to be better for business. This I know, especially when you're talking about broken messages. If you can't fit everything on there, you really lose the message. So I think it's going to be better for the community. Mark wanted to make sure, Mark Link, Uncle Bub's, want to make sure that we offer up messages to the community too when they want to, so we can put messages up so they can get a benefit of the sign given where we are along the tracks. Sometimes when you're stuck in the tracks, you've got time to kind of consume that. So we're really, really in favor of these changes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further public comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment, and we'll start with Commissioner Carmichael.
Well, thank you for your testimony. To start with Mr. Welch and Mr. Torello. First of all, I'm amazed that Downers Grove does not permit electronic message boards. Either that or maybe they just don't have any regulations with regard to it, and it's not that they don't permit it, it's that they don't have any regulations whatsoever. Would that be more accurate, Joe?
In my research, they prohibit it except for the school districts. They do have a provision for the school districts.
That's really interesting. Well, I'm in support of these changes. I think it's better for business, it's better for the public, and I I was unaware also of the difference between a pole signage and monument type signage. Is it because people looking up and away from the roadway, or as opposed looking level, or what? Why are monument signs considered to be?
Really, it's just over time, communities have determined that when you drive down the street and all you see is a pole sign 50 feet in the air from each business, it tends to be detrimental to the view of the community. By reducing the size of the signs and the height of the signs and somewhat limiting the amount of advertisement that can occur, then the focus is more on the landscape, the quality of the buildings, and the quality of the community.
Thank you. One other question on the first standard is on brightness. And when I first read this, I thought there would be something with regard to the number of lumens in daytime or nighttime. There's nothing with regard to how bright any sign is.
We do have existing text about the brightness of signs, and then we do have a provision for the LED signs that they can be adjusted as necessary or have automatic adjustments for day and night, so they can...
So there are
yes,
brightness limits or such. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fidesco.
For the changes.
Yeah, when I read this, I kind of did my own little unscientific test. What I did was I went to a couple places with the signs, and what I did was I tried to see when I could read a sign and started counting, just counting till I was past the sign. 10 seconds is a good time, but I think we could even drop it to 8 maybe, because, I mean, you can't really read the sign when you're too far away, but yet, once you get to a zone, and then, you know, you're getting pretty close to that sign, 5-6 seconds, and then you're by it around 7-8. So just my own unscientific test, but I think that 10 is a good number, but we could, you know, depending on how it plays out down the road, maybe even reduce it to something like 8. But once again, it's unscientific, guys.
Okay, Commissioner Pill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of comments. I guess as a business owner, I hope that a lesson is learned here that when we have 20 people who have something going on, in this case a sign, and all 20 are in violation, I hope it becomes apparent that the village has done something wrong. And that's the lesson, because as a business owner, the state's in such a mess, and we're just tired of being over-legislated, overtaxed, and over-bullshitted. And 20 out of 20 is embarrassing, I think, and I'm glad that we're here straightening this out. That's the first thing I want to say. And I don't care if it's signs, I don't care what it is. When it's 100% non-compliance, there's something wrong with the ordinance. Second thing is that, you know, years ago, people said computers are never going to go ahead and take hold. Nobody's ever going to take a photo from a cell phone. Well, you know, that's changed, and this is the way signs are going. So I think we need to go ahead and recognize this. I think they're much more beautiful than some of the lousy pole signs we've seen around. And I think that this is the way to go. We should support that. We know that it's really not a safety thing. I mean, that's the kind of thing you hear with red light cameras, that they're putting them in for our benefit so that we can be safer on the roads. But yet, we've got overhead signage going in on every major expressway where people are driving 55 to 80 miles an hour. And they're putting it up there to encourage safety and to provide information to the drivers. So I think this is a good thing for the drivers. Within reason. There shouldn't be perhaps video, and there shouldn't be flashing lights and things. I certainly concur with that. But I think that the time should be lowered to 5 seconds. And I've gone ahead and looked at it both ways also. And I think if you want to convey the image and make use, these are expensive signs, make use of it, 5 seconds is a much better way to go ahead and approach this. So I favor even a shorter one. And the other thing, because I feel that monument signs are the way to go in the future, in that they convey a much better image, Oak Brook being a classic example of a monument-only sign village. I'd like to see these. We're grandfathering everybody who's in now, but in the future, go to 60 or 75%, but on monument only. Don't have it on the pole signs. So if they've got to go ahead and go with monument. Those would be my comments.
Commissioner Thomas.
I remember when we started out and the concern was that we don't want Cass Avenue or Ogden Avenue to be Vegas-like, and we were, thinking of that. And the technology has advanced so dramatically that the signs can do so much more than just be Vegas and be more positive. And I think as we will adjust to that, we're probably overcautious, in our regulating the signs and that. But I agree that in the text amendment and that's where we are, and we might in the future revisit it again. But who knows what the future will hold? But I'm in agreement with this, and again, like you said, 100% violation. There's a problem there, And now whether it's the people just buy a sign and not aware of restrictions, maybe not. Who knows? But I support this amendment here. That's all I got.
Commissioner Bartel.
I concur with my fellow commissioners. I think it's important to have a consistent standard of signs. I also like the monument type. I think it's closer to the eye level of the driver. I also support the grandfathering in for those ones who currently have signs that might not be in the compliance as we move forward with this ordinance. And I don't have a strong feeling about the number of seconds. I think, we talked 5, or I heard 8, and 10 is, I'm assuming, somewhat of a compromise. So I don't have a strong feeling about that. But I think it's important that we continue to advance as technology advances and keep up with the times. So, supportive.
Okay. We don't have any of these large pole sites, such as what populates Ogden Avenue. Those are not in our district. Those are not in our municipal boundaries, are they?
You're talking about one of the,
Those two monstrosities on Ogden?
yeah, those ones are, I believe are in the county.
Okay,
Those billboards? We don't allow billboards
okay.
except along Route 83, I believe.
Yeah. I concur about the monument signs, allowing them greater coverage just to get rid of the pole signs. And just to show you how strong some communities can be for monument signs, everybody knows McDonald's won't come into your area unless they have the big arches out front. Go to Sedona, Arizona, a ground monument sign, 3 foot high.
You can go to lots of places now and see McDonald's without the big arches, and that's certainly the community trend, is to allow only, not this community, but communities only allowing tasteful monument signs.
Okay, now when they change the sign with the physical face on it, I'm going to call it the old analog sign, for want of a better word. They have to get a permit.
Correct.
Okay, what are we going to do about these electric signs? Now, they're going to come in with new computer programs to do this. Is there going to be any charge on this, or they're going to change it at will, or?
Oh, you mean if they were to update them?
Yeah,
If they were to update them, they'd have to get a new sign permit. If they wanted to, say, change the message time from 30 seconds to 10 seconds, they could do that, through their programming.
Okay, but just to change the message, what's being displayed?
Right.
There's no
They don't-
charge?
Yeah,
Okay.
they do that on their own.
Okay. And lastly, then, time. I'm going to go back to an incident that happened to me many, many years ago, The Exorcist, the old movie. Gentleman, a friend of mine, was sitting next to me, and part of the movie was where there were strobe lights flashing, went into an epileptic fit. So I would definitely not condone anything less than, less than 5 seconds.
Okay.
But I think between 5 and 10, any number you so choose would be great. But certainly never cross that 5-second threshold
Okay.
under any and all conditions. I would not agree to that. Okay, I think we've talked this.
Mr. Chairman, another question. I forgot to ask, and staff, can you tell me, I had trouble understanding what we're doing with the fees in this. So can you explain what the fees are and what they're going to go to, or are they staying the same, or?
We used to fee banners. We used to require a fee for banners, and then...
So is a banner like a cloth? Is that what you're talking about? We're not talking about these electronic signs.
Yeah, that's a totally separate conversation. There's a section in the code that exempted banners out and didn't require a fee for them. And so with the amount of staff time that's spent reviewing them, checking their size, going out in the field and inspecting them, we at least wanted to recoup that time that we're
So
spending.
now, on a banner, you're going to a flat fee is what you're proposing?
Correct.
And for these types of signs, these monument signs at some percentage, 60, 75%, whatever we recommend to the village board, that's going to be just whatever the permit fees are under the existing sign code.
Correct.
That's not changing.
That's not changing.
I understand. Thank you.
My understanding, Commissioner Pill, was that banners were specifically free, and now we're imposing a minimum fee on them so that staff, when they review it or go out to look at them.
Well, it's gonna bring up all kinds of questions on what's really a banner and what's not a banner, and I mean, people put all kinds of stuff up out there in front and stuff, and is the whole idea to go ahead and be running around and policing this stuff? Or is it to go ahead and encourage business as long as it's done tastefully? So there's a fine line there. There's abusers, and then there's people who do it to support their business.
I would think sign ordinance, anything not permanently attached either to the ground or to the building would be a banner.
Right. We have pretty clear guidelines on the banners, and we support banners as well for advertising businesses. It's just that we do have problems where people will leave them out for 3 months, and we want to
I'm
control
thinking,
that.
somebody puts up on a fence and puts, oh, we've got dinner specials
Sure.
tonight. So they got to come in and pay $50 to do that, and if it changes every week, then they're going to change that every week. They're going to pay $50?
Well, they're limited to how long they can be up. They can be up for,
What it is currently is they're,
45.
depending on the code, either 45 or 60 days. That's where we're supporting the 60 days. So 60 days total per calendar year. Now, they can break that up as many times as they want, as long as there's 30 days in between. So basically, what we're asking the business to do is to calculate in their business plan when they have their sales, when they have their need to attract the business, so that we don't have the businesses that have the permanent banners that are out all the time that end up deteriorating and then being a detriment to the community.
I think about like the Knights of Columbus with their fish fry banner and stuff. That's going to either cost them or be prohibited then.
well, a lot of the community event type signs, they will go through special permissions through the board for events anyway, and a lot of times those banners are part of that,
So the
so.
restaurant across the street, which is having a fish fry also then, can't do that because that's not a community event. I think it's a slippery slope.
Raise a good point. Any further commissioner comments? Okay. Under Planning and Zoning, item 15009, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees. Item A, amend Appendix A, Article 11 of the Westmont Zoning Code regarding amendments to the Village of Westmont Sign Code.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fidesco, seconded by Commissioner Carmichael. Question on the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have varying opinions on many parts of this, so I don't see how we can vote on this as one. I'll defer to our attorney.
So you can make a recommendation to approve the text amendment as drafted, and if you want variations from that, you can make a separate motion, which we've done before, sometimes to impose special conditions, et cetera, but you can say, although we're approving the text amendment, you can make a second motion to change the time from 10 seconds to 8 seconds, or you can make a second motion to say that banners, although there's a time limitation, should be free, or whatever you can reach a consensus on.
So that would be the best way to do it then, okay?
I think so.
Okay.
Keep us
And anybody who
moving
wants to
along.
can make the motions, got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then could we take it, John, the motion that we have a second on? That would be as per this is written, and then
Yes.
we will make amendments as anybody chooses.
Right, if you can reach a consensus. I mean, the other alternative, you can table the whole thing, come back next month, and try and work on a consensus between now and then, but.
I see no need for that. Okay, so we are voting on then the text amendment as presented to us.
As written.
Okay, and then we can amend anything we see. So may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Carmichael,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel,
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco.
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Richards?
Yes. Okay, so we've gotten rid of that now.
I would entertain a motion to adjust the time to 5 seconds on the display board, and to also allow a monument sign to have 75% coverage.
Okay, I'd like to clarify your wordage. I entertain the motion, you would like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, I'm sorry. I was being the chairman there for a second.
I'm fully aware of that.
What is
Do we have a motion, do we have a
Chairman
second?
envy.
Boy, I thought Dan Anton was back for a moment. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, a second by Commissioner Bartel. Do we have a question on this motion? Okay, may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Chairman Richard?
Yes. Okay, the motion is adopted and approved. Any further motions concerning amendments to the,
I would like to make a motion that the banners be free in 90 days.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we do have a second. Commissioner Bartel, question on the motion?
I would just point out.
90 days for? Duration?
Maximum duration during the course of the year. It's presently.
Through a year? Over 90 days?
It's
over a year?
presently 45 or 60, right, depending on the two different, and they want to unify that, which makes sense. So it's offered up, we've already voted on 60.
Right, okay. All right.
Yes, John?
I just know from some past history, and I know certainly what Joe testified to, is that there is staff time involved with these, and there is abuse of these. And so I just think from a staff perspective, trying to recoup fees anytime someone comes in for a permit is, I know you want to be pro-business, but the village also has to pay their staff and handle certain administrative costs. I think a fee may be reasonable given the history of this over the years and the staff time involved on inspections and the number of people that don't take their signs down as they're supposed to.
In recognition of the astute observations of our attorney, what if we were to compromise on 90 days and $25 fee as opposed to the 50?
I see you're 25.
How many banners are we talking about? Is this a large number? Any ideas? In other words, how much, $50 times how many banners? What-
I think historically, the permitted banners are 20 per year.
20 per year.
But what this is going to do, there's banners all over the place. I mean, you can't drive anywhere and not see them on every business. And I think this is going to go ahead and start a process of enforcement on our businesses, and that's why I feel, I don't think we should be in that business. It's not our business.
Commissioner Pill, I just want
Question on the
to,
motion, if I may. Your motion was for how many days?
The original motion was for 90 days and $0, and I amended it to 90 days and $25.
Do we have to vote on the first one and then vote on the amendment, or what, John?
No, whoever seconded the original motion can just second the motion as amended, and we can move forward.
Do you second it?
Seconded. I'll second
Okay,
it.
so we can move forward to 90 days, $25.
Right, and I
Okay.
think
I have a question.
Joe has
Is
a
there-
comment. Okay.
Is there, well, I have two questions, one for staff and one for the general commission. As far as, could we possibly split those out? Because I'm for one against the other, so,
Sure.
I'm just asking if the board members would do that. And then the other question was for the staff is, how many signs, I know they're all over, but approximately what's the estimated number of signs that are out there that aren't going for permits right now?
Are you talking about signs or banners?
Banners, I should say, temporary signs,
Okay.
banners.
I would say that there's probably at least double, that 20 at any given time. Village staff does their best to kind of, when they see a banner that's really pushing the limits, it's out in the parkway, it's waving, it's a dancing person, So there are banners that exist that village staff just cannot pursue because they're so temporary in nature. This does not change our enforcement process or power in any way. What it does give us the ability is currently what an applicant does to get a banner is they provide a $250 bond to the village as insurance that they're going to remove the banner when they say. So typically what happens is we go out to do an inspection at the time that they say the banner will be taken down, and it's not down. And this is an attempt that we don't want to confiscate the $250 bond, which is what our current enforcement process is. We like to work with the business community and say, and give them a call and say, can you remove that banner? You said it would be down by a
Leads me
certain
to another
date.
question before we move forward. The question is if this is spread over a year, and they're allowed to do it at any time, how do we know, when to tell them to take it down?
Well, of the ones that are permitted, we do track the number of days they have it up, the day they say they're going to take it down, the day that the day it goes up, the day it comes down.
So in other words, they can do a week for a week-long sale, put it up on Saturday and then take it down the next week?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And as long as there was a 30-day period before they applied for their next period to put it up. And this also does allow us, to, when we have shopping centers, only one banner is permitted per shopping center. It allows one tenant to have it up for 30 days, and then we let them, we make them get a new permit. And if another business has come in requesting a banner permit for that shopping center, we let the first business know that we're going to let someone else put it up for 30 days, and then you can come back in and request it again after that 30 days. Kind of to give fairness to all the businesses in the shopping center.
Okay, all right.
Okay, right now we have a motion with a second, a motion by Commissioner Pill, seconded by Commissioner Bartel for, on the banners, 90 days, $25.
You want these split, Steve?
Well, now after...
Well, we have to clear this motion first.
If he doesn't want them split, though, we don't have to clear. We can go right to it.
After listening to the staff, it kind of makes me, the $25 was, I was thinking we need to cover the costs. And 25, we may not be covering all of the costs for the inspection, but it does cover something. And with these other people, like, as you said, the others who are not getting the permits, maybe that'll force them to get the permits. And in the big scheme, maybe that's okay. So maybe not split them, but
Okay.
to you guys.
May we have a roll call, please?
And as luck would have it, Commissioner Fidesco.
I'm going to say yes.
Commissioner Pill votes yes. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
You sure? Mm-hmm. Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Chairman Richards?
No. Okay, that's settled. Any staff?
Anybody else have any other?
Business or?
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Pill for his 10 years of service. We have a pin to acknowledge.
Thank you.
Oh.
There are standards, and
It's like I'm getting a free car wash, a little pizza, some barbecue tonight. I like it. Nice, nice. Maybe some tires. Oh, yeah. I got you back there.
Jill, you have to understand that Greg is used to being in front of a camera. But I see no camera here for this historic event.
Right, right.
I have all of your eyes, and that's pleasure enough.
he's taping at home now.
Okay, any further commissioner comments whatsoever? Just like to remind everybody the old saying, freedom isn't free. We lost 11 good servicemen today in a tragic accident.
Yep.
Off of Florida. Maybe everybody will think about them for a moment or two. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Hill. Everybody say aye.
Aye.
Right.
We are adjourned.